sound of thunder echoed across the mountains. Bruce Lee opened his eyes. For a moment, he couldn't remember where he was. The air smelled strange, warm, ancient. Dust floated around him like golden smoke. He slowly stood up and looked around. Massive stone walls surrounded him. Thousands of people were sitting in giant rows of seats, an enormous arena. It looked like the Colosseum of ancient Rome, but something was wrong. The banners hanging from the walls belonged to no kingdom he had ever seen. The people were dressed in clothing from different centuries. Some wore armor, others wore modern suits. A few carried torches. It was as if all of history had gathered in one place. Bruce narrowed his eyes. "Where am I?" Suddenly, a deep voice shook the arena. "The dragon has awakened!" The entire crowd erupted. Thousands of people stood. They shouted his name. "Bruce Lee! The dragon! The master of speed!" Bruce looked around in confusion. He had fought many battles in his life. He had stood before cameras. He had stood before fighters. But this felt different. This felt unreal. The voice returned. "Welcome to the eternal Colosseum." Silence. Even the wind seemed to stop. No warrior enters this place by accident. Every century, the arena calls for legends. Bruce slowly clenched his fists. The voice continued, "Some are kings, some are conquerors, some are monsters." The crowd became quiet, but only a few become legends. The stone beneath Bruce's feet suddenly trembled. A giant gate on the opposite side of the arena began to open. Creak! Darkness waited inside. Then, footsteps. Slow, soft. A figure emerged. At first, nobody could see clearly. Then sunlight touched her face. A young woman, perhaps 20 years old, long dark hair, athletic build, sharp eyes. She wore bright pink training clothes unlike anyone else in the arena. The crowd gasped. Some people looked frightened. Others looked amazed. Bruce stared. The woman looked calm, too calm. As she entered the arena, the air itself seemed to become heavier. The deep voice spoke again. "She has never been defeated." Silence. "She defeated champions from every era." More silence. "She is called," the crowd leaned forward, "the Sky Warrior." Suddenly, thousands of people screamed, "Sky Warrior! Sky Warrior! Sky Warrior!" The young woman stopped walking. Then she slowly raised her head. Her eyes met Bruce's. Everything became silent. Bruce felt it immediately. Her eyes. They were not arrogant, not angry, not cruel. They were searching for something, or someone. For several long seconds, neither moved. Then the woman spoke. Her voice was soft. "So, you're the dragon." Bruce did not answer immediately. She continued, "I've waited a long time." Bruce crossed his arms. "You know me?" "I know every fighter." "And who are you?" The young woman looked upward. The sunlight touched her face. Then she looked at him again. "I don't remember." Bruce frowned. She smiled sadly. "I don't remember my name." The crowd became quiet. "I don't remember where I came from." Her expression remained calm. "I only remember fighting." Bruce stared. There was no lie in her eyes, only loneliness. "I have spent years inside this place." She looked around the giant arena. "I fight." She looked at him. "I win." Silence. And then I wait. Bruce could suddenly feel something inside her. Pain. A deep pain. The pain of someone completely alone. The voice of the arena interrupted. Today, the waiting ends. The ground shook again. Dust fell from the walls. Today, two legends meet. The crowd roared. Bruce slowly entered his fighting stance. The Sky Warrior watched him. She smiled. For the first time, a real smile. I've seen your battles. Bruce raised an eyebrow. Oh? They say you're faster than lightning. They say many things. She nodded. They say you never stop learning. Bruce's eyes sharpened. And? She took a deep breath. I want to know if they're true. The wind suddenly became stronger. Her hair moved behind her. Bruce smiled slightly. So you want to fight? No, she shook her head. I want to understand. Bruce looked confused. Then she slowly raised her fists. Her expression changed. The loneliness disappeared. The sadness disappeared. Only focus remained. I can only understand people through combat. Silence. Bruce lowered himself into his stance. His eyes became serious. Now he understood. This woman wasn't looking for victory. She was looking for connection. She had fought thousands of opponents, yet she was still searching for someone who could truly reach her. The voice of the arena thundered one last time. The first battle begins! Boom! Massive drums echoed. The crowd exploded with excitement. Dust rose from the ground. Neither fighter moved. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. The tension became unbearable. Then, the Sky Warrior disappeared. The crowd screamed. She moved so fast that her body became a blur. Bruce's eyes widened. She's fast, very fast. Suddenly, whoosh! A kick appeared inches from his face. Bruce leaned backward. The kick missed by less than an inch. The wind from the attack touched his skin. The crowd exploded. But before Bruce could move, whoosh! Another kick. Then another. Then another. The young woman attacked like a storm. Bruce stepped back, dodged, turned, dodged again. Sand exploded beneath his feet. Every attack came from a different angle. The crowd could barely see what was happening. The Sky Warrior smiled. Finally, someone could survive her speed. She attacked even faster. Bruce suddenly realized something terrifying. She wasn't even trying to hit him. She was testing him, testing his eyes, testing his reactions, testing his spirit. Bruce smiled. Interesting. He suddenly stopped retreating. The woman blinked. Then, boom! Bruce stepped forward for the first time. He attacked. His fist moved like lightning. The Sky Warrior's eyes widened. She barely avoided it. A second punch came, then a third. Now it was her turn to retreat. Dust exploded beneath her feet. The crowd stood up. Nobody had ever pushed her backward, not once. The young woman landed several meters away. Silence. Her breathing had changed. She looked at Bruce. Then she smiled. Not with confidence, not with arrogance, with excitement. For the first time in countless years, she had found someone who could truly fight her. She slowly raised her fists again. Bruce looked at her. Then he smiled too. Neither of them knew it yet, but this battle was about to change both of their lives forever. The crowd erupted. Thousands of voices echoed through the eternal Colosseum. The dragon and the Sky Warrior stood facing one another, separated by only a few steps. Dust slowly settled around their feet. Neither blinked, neither smiled. The atmosphere had changed. This was no longer a test. This was a real battle. A cold wind swept through the arena. The Sky Warrior inhaled deeply. Then she disappeared. Boom! The ground exploded beneath her feet. She moved even faster than before. Bruce's eyes widened. Impossible. She was faster, much faster. Whoosh! A kick came toward his ribs. Bruce blocked. Bang! The impact shook his entire body. He slid backward through the sand. The crowd gasped. She had kicked him like a cannon. Bruce barely regained his balance when another attack came. Whoosh! A spinning kick. He ducked. Whoosh! An elbow. He blocked. Whoosh! A punch. He twisted aside. Her attacks never stopped. She moved like flowing water. No hesitation. No wasted movement. No fear. Bruce's breathing became deeper. Interesting. Every attack connected naturally into the next. It was almost impossible to predict. She suddenly appeared behind him, too fast. Bang! Her palm struck his shoulder. Bruce stumbled forward. The audience exploded. The Sky Warrior immediately attacked again. Bruce turned. He blocked. Another strike. Blocked. Another. Blocked. The impacts echoed throughout the arena. Bang! 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 Every collision sent dust flying into the air. Bruce's muscles burned. The young woman wasn't just fast, she was unbelievably strong. Her eyes remained calm, focused, almost peaceful, as if fighting was the most natural thing in existence. She jumped. Her body rose high into the air. The crowd looked upward. Then she descended. Like lightning, her foot came down toward Bruce's head. Boom! Bruce rolled aside. The kick struck the ground. Sand exploded everywhere. A crater appeared. The audience became silent. Bruce stared. Even he looked surprised. One direct hit would have ended the fight. The Sky Warrior slowly lifted her foot. She looked at him. Her expression remained calm. "You dodge well." Bruce smiled. "You hit hard." She nodded. "I know." Then she vanished again. Boom! She attacked. Bruce attacked. Their fists collided. Bang! A shockwave spread across the arena. Both stepped backward, then forward. Bang! Another collision, then another, then another. Their movements became so fast that many spectators could no longer follow. The crowd could only hear the sounds. Bang! Whoosh! Boom! Crack! Dust covered the battlefield. Their shadows flashed through the smoke. Neither gained an advantage. Neither gave ground. An old man sitting high above the arena slowly stood. He had watched battles for decades. His hands trembled. "I've never seen anything like this." Beside him, a knight wearing silver armor nodded. "They're monsters." The old man slowly shook his head. "No." He looked toward the battlefield. "They're artists." Inside the cloud of dust. Bang! Bruce blocked another kick. But this time he noticed something. The Sky Warrior's expression. She was smiling, not because she was winning, not because she was confident. She looked happy, truly happy, as if every movement gave her life. Bruce suddenly understood. This woman had been alone for a very long time, maybe years, maybe centuries. Every opponent had fallen. Every battle had ended. Nobody had ever lasted long enough. Nobody had ever understood her language, the language of combat. Until now. The realization distracted him, only for a moment, but one moment was enough. Whoosh! Her foot struck his chest. Bang! Bruce flew backward. The crowd screamed. He rolled across the ground before stopping. Silence. The Sky Warrior froze. She stared at him. Her smile disappeared. Bruce slowly pushed himself upward. A small line of blood appeared on his lip. The crowd watched. Nobody moved. The young woman's eyes widened. She had injured him. For some reason, she didn't like it. "I'm sorry." Bruce blinked. The entire arena became silent. "I'm sorry?" he repeated. She looked away. "I didn't mean—" She stopped speaking. Bruce stared. This was strange, very strange. A fighter apologizing during battle. She looked at her hands. "They always break." Bruce frowned. "What?" Her voice became quieter. "My opponents." Silence. "They always break." A breeze moved through the arena. "I hit them." She looked at him. "They fall." Her eyes looked sad. "Then they're gone." The crowd became quiet. Nobody cheered. Nobody spoke. Even the arena itself seemed to listen. Bruce slowly stood. He wiped the blood from his mouth. Then he looked at her. The Sky Warrior lowered her head. "I don't want this one to end." Silence. Bruce said nothing. "I know you're strong." She looked at him again. "I know you can continue." Her voice shook slightly. "Please, don't break." The entire Colosseum fell silent. Bruce looked into her eyes, and suddenly he saw it. Not fear, not weakness, loneliness. Crushing loneliness. A person who had spent years searching for someone equal, someone who would stay, someone who wouldn't disappear, someone who understood. Bruce took a deep breath. Then he smiled. The Sky Warrior looked confused. Bruce rolled his shoulders. Crack, crack, crack. He returned to his fighting stance. "I've taken harder hits." She blinked. Bruce smiled again. "And I don't break easily." Silence. For several seconds she simply stared at him. Then she smiled. A genuine smile. Perhaps the brightest smile she had shown all day. For the first time, hope appeared in her eyes. The wind grew stronger. The banners around the arena began to move. The deep voice suddenly echoed from above. "Excellent!" The ground trembled. "Very excellent!" The spectators looked upward. The voice continued. "It has been 300 years." Silence. 300 years since the Sky Warrior smiled. The young woman froze. "What?" The voice thundered again. "She has defeated every challenger." The arena trembled. "She has known only victory." The crowd remained silent. "And victory is a terrible prison." The Sky Warrior slowly looked around. The spectators lowered their heads, as if they already knew. The voice continued. "She was never looking for an enemy." A pause. "She was looking for a friend." Silence. The young woman's eyes slowly widened. Friend. The word felt unfamiliar, almost forgotten. She looked toward Bruce. He simply stood there, relaxed, calm, ready. She suddenly felt something strange, warmth, a feeling she had not experienced in years. Her eyes became wet. She immediately looked away. Bruce noticed, but he said nothing. After several moments, she looked back at him. Her expression had changed. No sadness, no loneliness, only determination. She slowly raised her fists. Bruce raised his own. Both smiled. The crowd rose to its feet. The battle was no longer about victory. It had become something far greater. The Sky Warrior suddenly whispered, "Then let's keep fighting." Bruce grinned. That's exactly what I was thinking. And then, boom! Both fighters exploded forward at the same time. Their fists raced toward one another. Neither intended to retreat, neither intended to stop. And high above them, hidden within the shadows of the eternal Colosseum, two glowing eyes slowly opened, watching, waiting, as if this battle was awakening something ancient, something that had slept for centuries. Boom! Their fists collided. The impact shook the entire eternal Colosseum. Dust erupted in every direction. The spectators staggered backward. For a moment, it looked as if the arena itself might collapse. But neither fighter moved. Bruce's fist pressed against the Sky Warrior's. Her fist pressed against his. Their eyes met. Then, bang! Both jumped backward simultaneously. They landed several meters apart. The crowd exploded. Incredible! They're equal! This is impossible! The Sky Warrior was breathing harder now. For the first time in hundreds of years, she looked down at her hands. They were trembling. She slowly smiled. I can feel my heart. Bruce raised an eyebrow. What? She looked at him. It's beating fast. She placed a hand on her chest. I forgot what this feels like. Bruce smiled. That's called excitement. She looked confused. Excitement? She repeated the word quietly, as if tasting it for the first time. Then she smiled again. I like it. Suddenly, rumble. The ground shook. Everyone looked around. Another rumble. Then another. Rumble. Rumble. Dust fell from the ancient walls. The spectators became nervous. The deep voice echoed once more. The final test has begun. Bruce looked upward. What test? No answer. The arena shook harder. Rumble. Cracks began appearing across the battlefield. The Sky Warrior frowned. This has never happened before. Bruce looked at her. You've seen this place before? She nodded. Many times. But not this? No. Another violent tremor shook the Colosseum. Then, a scream. The crowd turned. One of the giant stone gates had begun opening by itself. Creak! Darkness waited inside. A cold wind emerged. It felt wrong. Even Bruce narrowed his eyes. The spectators slowly backed away. The Sky Warrior's smile disappeared. For the first time, she looked afraid. The darkness inside the gate began moving. A shadow, then another, and another. A massive figure stepped forward, then another beside it, then another. The audience gasped. Giant warriors, more than 10 feet tall. Their bodies were covered in black armor. Their eyes glowed red. They carried enormous weapons, axes, spears, swords. The ground trembled with every step. Bruce frowned. Who are they? The Sky Warrior looked horrified. I've never seen them. Then the deep voice returned. The Guardians. Silence. The Keepers of the Eternal Colosseum. Another giant emerged, then another, then another. There were dozens. The spectators panicked. Some tried to run, some screamed. The armored giants slowly entered the arena. Then they stopped. Every glowing red eye turned toward Bruce and the Sky Warrior. The voice spoke. For centuries, the Sky Warrior failed. She looked upward. What? You were given one purpose. Silence. To find an equal. She froze. But you never did. The voice continued. Therefore, the tournament never ended. The Sky Warrior slowly stepped backward. No. You have finally Selectron. She looked toward Bruce. The voice became louder. And now, every guardian raised its weapon. Your final trial begins. Boom! One giant leaped forward. The crowd screamed. The creature swung its enormous axe. Bruce moved instantly. Whoosh! He dodged. The axe crashed into the ground. Boom! Stone exploded. Bruce's eyes widened. That thing could split a mountain. Another guardian attacked, then another, then another. Bruce ducked, rolled, jumped. The creatures surrounded him. Meanwhile, 3 guardians charged toward the Sky Warrior. She moved. Whoosh! She spun. Bang! One giant flew backward. Another attacked. She jumped. Her kick struck its helmet. Crack! The metal shattered. The giant stumbled. The crowd roared. But more kept coming. Dozens. Endless. Bruce suddenly shouted, "There are too many!" The Sky Warrior landed beside him. She looked around. There were guardians everywhere. They had surrounded the entire battlefield. Even the spectators were trapped. A little boy cried in the audience. An elderly man fell. People screamed. Bruce's expression changed. This was no longer a tournament. Innocent people were in danger. He stepped forward. The Sky Warrior grabbed his arm. "What are you doing?" Bruce looked at her. "Protecting them." She blinked. "The spectators?" "Yes." She stared at him, confused. "You would risk yourself? For strangers?" Bruce looked at her. "They're afraid." Silence. "So?" Bruce frowned. "So they need help." The Sky Warrior simply stared. The idea seemed impossible to her. For centuries, she had only known fighting, victory, defeat, loneliness. She had forgotten something simple. People protected each other. Friends protected each other. Families protected each other. She looked at the frightened child in the audience, then at Bruce. Something inside her changed. Another guardian charged. Boom! Bruce stepped forward. He jumped. A flying kick struck the giant's chest. Bang! The creature staggered. Bruce landed. Immediately, another guardian attacked. Then another. Then another. There was no end. The Sky Warrior watched him. He wasn't fighting to win. He wasn't fighting for glory. He was fighting for others. She had never seen this before. A small voice suddenly cried out, "Help!" The young woman turned. A giant guardian was climbing toward the audience. People were trapped. A little girl stood frozen. The guardian raised its sword. The child could not move. Everything seemed to slow. The Sky Warrior looked at the child. The child looked back. Her eyes were full of fear. Fear, loneliness, desperation. For some reason, the Sky Warrior suddenly saw herself. Hundreds of years, alone, waiting, searching. She heard Bruce's voice. "They're afraid." Her heart began pounding. Again, faster, then, boom! She disappeared. The crowd gasped. She appeared in front of the little girl. The enormous sword descended. The Sky Warrior raised both hands. Bang! The impact shook the entire arena. The ground beneath her feet cracked. But she did not move. She protected the child. The little girl stared at her. The Sky Warrior looked back. The child whispered, "Thank you." Silence. The young woman froze. "Thank you." Nobody had ever said those words to her. Not once. Her eyes widened. Something warm spread through her chest, something she had never understood. Bruce suddenly appeared beside her. He smiled. "Feels different, doesn't it?" She slowly looked at him. Tears appeared in her eyes. "I protected someone." Bruce nodded. "Yes." The little girl gently grabbed her hand. The Sky Warrior looked down. The child's hand was tiny, warm, trusting. The young woman couldn't speak. Then, roar! The Guardians attacked again. Dozens charged together. Bruce and the Sky Warrior looked up. Their expressions changed. This was far from over. Bruce stepped forward. The Sky Warrior stepped beside him. For the first time, they stood shoulder to shoulder, not as opponents, not as rivals, as partners. Bruce smiled. Ready? The Sky Warrior looked at him, then at the terrified crowd, then at the child holding her hand. Slowly, she smiled. A different smile, warmer, stronger. Ready. And together, they charged directly toward the army of Guardians. Boom! Bruce Lee and the Sky Warrior charged together. The army of Guardians rushed toward them like a black wave. The entire eternal Colosseum trembled. The spectators screamed. Dust filled the air. A giant guardian swung its enormous axe. Bruce jumped. Whoosh! The axe missed by inches. He landed on the weapon itself and sprinted up the handle. The guardian looked up. Too late. Bang! Bruce's flying kick struck its face. The giant staggered backward. Another guardian attacked from behind, but whoosh! The Sky Warrior appeared. She spun through the air. Bang! Her kick smashed into the giant's helmet. Crack! The armor split. The creature crashed into the ground. The audience exploded with cheers. But more guardians came. 10, 20, 30. They surrounded the two fighters. Bruce and the Sky Warrior stood back to back. Both were breathing heavily. The young woman looked around. There are too many, Bruce smiled. There usually are. She looked at him. He looked strangely calm. She almost laughed. Even surrounded by monsters, the dragon was smiling. Then, roar! The Guardians attacked. Everything became chaos. Bruce ducked. A sword passed above his head. He stepped forward. Bang! A punch to the giant's throat. He turned. Whoosh! A spear came toward him. He grabbed it. Twisted. The guardian lost its balance. Bang! Bruce struck its chest. The creature crashed into another guardian. Meanwhile, the Sky Warrior moved like lightning. She leaped, spun, struck. Every movement was beautiful, like dancing, like flowing water. 3 guardians attacked together. She ran toward them. The crowd gasped. Instead of retreating, she accelerated. She jumped. Her foot landed on one giant's shoulder, then another, then another. She used the monsters themselves as stepping stones. The spectators stared in disbelief. She flew above them. Then, boom! She descended. Both feet struck the ground. A shockwave exploded outward. Several guardians were thrown backward. The audience erupted. Bruce smiled. Not bad. She smiled back. You're not so bad yourself. Then, rumble. Everything stopped. The entire arena shook violently. Cracks spread across the battlefield. The walls trembled. Pieces of stone began falling. The spectators screamed. The deep voice returned. Enough! Silence. Every guardian froze. Even Bruce and the Sky Warrior looked upward. The sky itself was changing. Dark clouds gathered above the Colosseum. Lightning flashed. Then, a giant crack appeared in the air itself. The spectators gasped. The sky was opening. Something enormous moved inside the darkness. A pair of glowing red eyes appeared. Then another. Then another. The thing stepped forward. Everyone became silent. It was gigantic, larger than the arena walls. Its body was covered in black armor. Its face looked almost human, ancient, cold. Its eyes burned like fire. Even the guardians slowly knelt. The deep voice spoke again. "I am the first guardian." Silence. "I created this tournament." The creatures slowly looked toward the Sky Warrior. "I brought you here." She stared. "What?" "You were a child." Her eyes widened. "You were alone." Images suddenly flashed through her mind. Darkness, rain, a little girl crying, an empty road. Then, nothing. The first guardian continued. "I saved you." She slowly stepped backward. "I trained you." Another memory. Punches, kicks, endless battles, the Colosseum, years, centuries. "I gave you purpose." The creature's voice became colder. "You existed only to fight." Silence. "You belonged to me." The Sky Warrior's body trembled. Something inside her broke. For hundreds of years, she had believed the arena was her home. But it wasn't. It was a prison. She had never been free. She looked around. The giant walls, the endless battles, the loneliness. Tears appeared in her eyes. She whispered, "I was trapped." The first guardian's eyes glowed brighter. "You were perfect." Silence. Then he arrived. Its gaze shifted toward Bruce. The atmosphere became heavy. "You changed." The Sky Warrior looked at Bruce. He simply stood there, calm. The first guardian's voice thundered, "You learned to care." Silence. "You learned to protect." Silence. "You learned friendship." The creature's voice became furious. "That is weakness." The Sky Warrior slowly looked upward. For the first time, anger appeared in her eyes. Weakness? She remembered the little girl, the frightened crowd, Bruce protecting strangers. She remembered the warmth she felt. She clenched her fists. "No." The first guardian became silent. She looked directly into its burning eyes. "No." Her voice became stronger. "That isn't weakness." The creature stared. She took another step forward. "For the first time in centuries, I feel alive." Silence. "I don't want endless victories." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I don't want to be alone anymore." The first guardian's eyes burned. "You have forgotten your purpose." She smiled. "No." She looked toward Bruce. "I finally found it." Silence. Bruce looked at her. She smiled, a genuine smile, not lonely, not sad, happy. She turned back toward the giant creature. "My purpose was never fighting." Silence. "It was finding someone who could show me how to live." The entire arena became quiet. Even the wind stopped. The first guardian roared. "Then both of you shall fall!" Boom! The creature raised its enormous arm. Dark energy gathered around it. Lightning exploded across the sky. The spectators screamed. The entire Colosseum began collapsing. Stone pillars shattered. Massive pieces of the arena fell. Bruce looked upward, then toward the people. "We don't have much time." The Sky Warrior nodded. Both entered their fighting stances. The first guardian attacked. Boom! The ground exploded. Bruce and the Sky Warrior leaped apart. Another strike, then another. The monster's power was overwhelming. Bruce attacked. Bang! His kick landed. Nothing. The creature didn't move. The Sky Warrior attacked. Bang! Again, nothing. The first guardian laughed. You cannot defeat me. Bruce breathed heavily. The Sky Warrior looked exhausted. For several seconds, silence. Then Bruce smiled. The young woman looked at him. Why are you smiling? He looked at her. Because we're still standing. She blinked. He extended his hand. She stared. Then she smiled and took it. At that exact moment, something extraordinary happened. A golden light appeared around them, the entire Colosseum illuminated. The spectators gasped. The deep voice spoke one final time. The trial is complete. Silence. The Sky Warrior has found her equal. The golden light became brighter. The dragon has found a friend. The first guardian suddenly looked afraid. No. The light expanded. The giant creature screamed. No! Boom! The golden energy exploded. A shock wave swept across the eternal Colosseum. The dark clouds vanished. The guardians disappeared. The first guardian dissolved into light. Silence. Absolute silence. The battle was over. Slowly, the dust settled. Bruce stood in the middle of the arena. Beside him stood the Sky Warrior. The morning sun shone upon them. The spectators rose to their feet. Then they applauded. Thousands of people, cheering, crying, smiling. The Sky Warrior looked around. Her eyes filled with tears. Nobody had ever cheered for her. Not once. She looked at Bruce. He smiled. You okay? She laughed softly. A strange sound. She realized it was the first genuine laugh of her life. She looked at him. What happens now? Bruce looked toward the horizon. Sunlight illuminated the broken walls. Then he smiled. Now? She nodded. Bruce began walking. He looked back. Now we leave the arena. She blinked. And then? Bruce smiled again. Then you finally start living. The young woman looked at him for several seconds. Then she smiled. And together, the dragon and the Sky Warrior walked toward the light of a new beginning.